Hi everyone. In today's video, I'm going to talk about external validation and how this external validation, need for external validation destroys a lot of young talent. So as a part of our selection process, we try to see the amount of free thinking and independent thinking in the candidate. Because we believe that when we are hiring somebody for a startup, that free thinking and independent thinking is super important. You want a candidate who's like Baba Ranchod Das in the movie Three Idiots, right? Somebody who's doing it for that sheer joy of learning and not because he or she is gaining a certificate or experience or some salary out of it. Because certificate, experience, salary, all of these are byproducts. The primary motivation, to succeed in a startup environment has to be the joy of solving problems and the joy of creating value. This is not the motivation. Startups are a very tough space to be in. The world's best minds and the world's most creative minds are the ones we need in startups, the ones who just enjoy to explore. Unfortunately, our education system is the opposite. Our education system kills all that risk taking and all that curiosity which is there in any candidate. Now I'll tell you what happens when people go for external validation. I was talking to one candidate whom DeepThought had hired recently, and we put her in a project with a client. So she was hired as a data scientist, and I could see lack of enthusiasm in her face. When she would come into meetings, I could see a lack of enthusiasm. So at some point, we were wanting to counsel her and clear her pending stipend and ask her to go look for a job somewhere else. We were wanting to counsel and ask her to move out because I didn't see that enthusiasm in her at the workplace. Then when I spoke to her, I realized she has that enthusiasm, but she has a lot of anxieties and insecurities inside her. So then when I spoke to her, she shared that all her batchmates were getting jobs and she struggled to get a job and finally got into an internship. I asked her a simple question. You're currently doing an internship with this company. This company is having large operations and the same company has been, hiring people full time. So don't you think the same company will give you a full time job if you actually do your internship properly? She said, yeah, makes sense. And then I said, but if you're in this mental state where you're questioning your self-worth, you'll definitely not do a good job. Then she again agreed, and she was telling that her friends who never worked hard, who never studied that hard, also managed to get a placement while she didn't get a placement. That's when I told her the problems with comparison, right? Every flower takes its own time to blossom. Every flower takes its own time to blossom. Somebody may be going very fast today, but you may be going slow. But eventually, if you are somebody who's investing a lot in your learning, and if you're trying to, explore a lot of things, wouldn't you go farther? This person may be going faster, but wouldn't you go far? A lot of youngsters, they get into what is called a mid-career crisis. That is, their career grows till a certain stage, and after that stage, they don't grow. Not everyone becomes vice president or CEO or anything, no. Most careers flatten somewhere. But the people who are lifelong learners, the career has that constant, growth curve. So I said, why are you worried about all this? What you want your brain to be thinking of is how do I solve my problems? How do I create more value in the job? Or there was another candidate who again came in for an internship of sorts, and she was worried, will I be employable at the end? What if I don't have anything? What if I don't have good work to show? I said, forget about somebody else employing you. The organization which is actually giving you an internship, won't they be hiring you for a full-time job? She said, but they don't have a product team right now. So why will they hire me? I said, but you are the first member in the product team, and that's why they hired you as an experiment to figure out how products can be built by the company. I asked, does the company have the money to build a product team? She said, yes. And she also said, yes, the company also has a need to build a product team. I said, if during your internship, you're able to do a good job and DeepThought is giving you that leadership coaching, can't you be the lead of the product team? And won't you have a much bigger career to build than outside because this company trusts you and this company believes in you? She said, yeah, makes sense. So if you see in all these stories, these are very sincere people who invested a lot of time in the DeepThought selection process, who actively participate in the learning drills of DeepThought. But then their mind is not, in the best state. Their happiness is going away. When you look for external validation, when you're looking for the external world to tell you whether you're good or not good, your self-esteem is shattered. Your happiness is shattered. You won't believe in yourself. You'll always be low on confidence. You'll always be, I don't know how to say it, but the people who have that self-esteem, who don't look at the society to give them a badge key, you're good or you're bad, they take new risks and they're very proactive in, doing their job. And their growth is of a different level. When I hire, there are two 18-year-olds I've hired as, interns in DeepThought, and they beat the freshers whom I hire for a full-time job in productivity. They give me more value. The reason is they're not looking for job safety. They're looking for opportunities to contribute. Now, when they are contributing value, any employer wants to hire them. Now, one very fundamental thing which every youngster has to know is it is not how hard you work which matters. It is how much value you create for the company which matters. And you can create value only if you're in the right mental state. You can create value only if you're in the right mental state. So if you're waiting for some exam to tell you what your self-worth is, or if you're waiting for some organization to tell you what your self-worth is, I'm sorry, you're only going to hurt yourself, because when you don't believe in yourself, why should somebody else believe in you? So then the question is, there's cutthroat competition. What should I do? There is no cutthroat competition. If I have to tell you the story on the other side of the table, because we're currently managing teams for 17 startups and SMBs, if I tell you the story from the other side of the table, if there are 4 jobs in the market, there's only one capable candidate. If there are 4 jobs in the market, there's only one capable candidate. And that's exactly why companies like DeepThought come in, where we do the mentoring. We take a candidate who's not currently capable and we do the mentoring so that the candidate can actually become capable and start delivering for the client. And that's why interns and fresher space is fantastic, because you take people and you make them capable, and that's how the remaining 3 slots can be filled. So if we want to work with you, we want to see whether you have that drive in you to actually contribute. Now, one very important thing here is, are you looking for external validation? And if you're looking for external validation, what will happen is, even if someone is willing to mentor you, even if someone is willing to give you a chance, your brain will not be in the right psychological state to actually go and contribute. So again, I say, if you're able to contribute value, there's no cutthroat competition. Unfortunately, all the colleges and these coaching institutes and these training institutes sell that wrong image to you that there's cutthroat competition. If you ask me, there's no cutthroat competition. If you ask me, there are very few people who can actually contribute value. And if I have to tell you through a relatable story, in 2009, when I wrote my IIT JEE exam, on the morning of my IIT JEE exam, I said that I'm clearing my IIT JEE exam. If somebody would ask me, does IIT JEE have cutthroat competition? My answer is no, it doesn't have cutthroat competition. The cutoff of IIT JEE is around 25 to 30% every year. When I wrote it in 2009, the cutoff was 25% of the total marks. My marks were 229 out of 486. 229 out of 486. That is around 40% or something. And with that, I got 3,754 rank, top 1%, because at that time, 4 lakh people wrote the exam. Nowadays it's much higher, but in 2009, it was 4 lakh people who wrote the exam. Top 1% with just 40% score. 25% within top 10,000 ranks. So my competition was not with the 4 lakh people who wrote the exam. Anybody who could pay the 2,000, 3,000 rupees and buy an application form can write the exam. But how many of them have actually prepared to solve problems to understand things conceptually and solve problems? Very few. And truth be told, last 3 months before the exam, I didn't prepare. And that's exactly, I just didn't want to go into IITs. That's why I rejected a seat in an IIT and went to IISER Pune, because I was going through that frustration of 5 years of IIT JEE preparation, and I didn't want to do problem solving. I wanted to do research, and I went to IISER. That's a different story. But I'm saying, last 3 months without even preparing, I was in the top 1%. And I think if you talk to most people who've given the IIT JEE, they'll tell you that most of the people are not even properly prepared to take the exam. So when someone tells you there's cutthroat competition, there's no cutthroat competition. The competition is not with the others. The competition is in getting the fundamentals right. Now, today, if you ask me as a startup founder, getting funding is difficult. But if you ask me, there's cutthroat competition with 65,000 startups registered under DPIIT program of Government of India? No. The competition is with the fact that I'm supposed to show the product market fit. I'm supposed to do the proper proof of concept. When I do proper proof of concept, that's when investors come in. My competition is not with another startup founder who's also struggling. My competition is with myself, in the sense that, am I able to prove my fundamentals? In any industry, there's never cutthroat competition. If you're able to prove, if you're able to demonstrate that value, there'll be somebody who will be a taker for that value. Now, the reason why I do not want you to think that there's cutthroat competition is, when you think that there's cutthroat competition, you're destroying your self-esteem. You're a very precious person. India today has the highest youth population in the world. You are the biggest asset of India. It is not diamonds and gold which is the biggest asset. It is you who is the biggest asset for India. I'm not joking. You are the biggest asset for India as a youngster. If you are in the right mental condition and if you're able to create value. See, if you are paid a salary of X, the company is getting a value of 10X. If the company is getting a value of 10X, 25% of value is paid as income tax to the Indian government. Because of you, the Indian government is going to get taxes. Because of you, the economy is going to grow. The economic output is going to grow. Think about it. America mein Silicon Valley is in the state called California. California's GDP is almost equal to India's GDP. Why is California state's GDP equal to India's GDP? Because they're doing so much of innovation and that innovation is creating economic value. If you want India to be a developed nation, you need that mindset. If you have that mindset, your life will get sorted. Indian economy also will get sorted. What do we do to change the country? Simple. Stop, giving bow to all these idiots who tell you that there's cutthroat competition. All these idiots will tell you you're not good enough. It's kind of like the cosmetics companies, no? All the cosmetics companies, they show these ads and they make women believe that they're not good enough. They make women believe that if you're dark skinned, you're fit for nothing. They make women believe that if you're fat, you're fit for nothing. Why does it matter how a woman appears? It matters to those idiots because those idiots have to sell their stupid chemicals which make money for them. Or body shaming and judging people based on their skin tone and all of that has become the trend, because there's an entire cosmetics industry which first makes people feel that they're not good enough and then goes and sells products through which people feel they're good enough. On one hand, the psychologically it's completely destroyed. On the other hand, the skin is destroyed because you put a lot of harmful chemicals on yourself. Now the same thing the education companies are telling on one hand they're telling you you're not good enough. And then again, they come and sell you coaching products and all these stupid products. Today, internet has everything, man. If you want to learn something, you can learn something on your own. I hired one boy who was in his 12th class, Shubham Bhattacharjee. That fellow already knew Python and Node.js, React.js, Vanilla JavaScript, Bootstrap. He knew these 5 things even before he joined us. He was in his 12th class, comes from a weaker economic background, and he didn't pay a single rupee for his learning. He learned it for free on the internet. So today, thanks to internet, if you're able to have access to internet, if you're able to pay the 200 rupees per month and have access to that internet, you get everything. You're good enough. You're biologically, you're given everything which is needed to succeed. If you're able to listen to me in English language and understand what I'm saying, you're really good. Very few people in India can actually understand, something spoken in English language. If you're able to understand something spoken in English language, you have the ability to find anything on the internet and read and do well. You are good enough. The fellow who's telling you that you're not good enough is the fellow who's trying to sell something to you and make money out of you. Okay. Am I here to give you lectures? No, I'm not here to give you lectures. I'm here only to tell you that if you're in search of external validation, please don't come to us. We are a small startup. We are building teams for different startups. If you work on our roles, you'll be put on projects for them. They are also small startups. We're all here trying to build some innovative ideas. And if we all succeed, the Indian economy will grow. Okay, we all are doing our own work. So if you're somebody in search of external validation, what will happen is your mental health will deteriorate if you work with us. But if you're somebody who's willing to think beyond external validation, you want to believe in yourself and you want to grow, definitely in startups, the kind of respect you get, the kind of personal attention you get in startups, no corporate is going to give you that. But in a startup, we expect that you work with loyalty, that you work with commitment to the cause. Now, a lot of people don't commit to the cause. Because their life is, because when you're going behind external validation, your self-esteem is gone. And a fellow who does not have self-respect becomes very selfish. I'm not saying you're bad, but if your self-esteem is weak, you tend to become very self-centered. You tend to think only of yourself. Startups cannot have self-centered people. Startups need caring people who are contributing to the cause. Imagine, it's so nice now when all the people are caring for each other and they're contributing to the cause. Every day you give your best. Every day when you wake up from bed, you wake up with excitement that I want to do something. And every day when you go to bed, you sleep with that satisfaction that I'm doing something fantastic, right? Startups deserve such wonderful people. Now, if you're having some challenges with external validation and you're feeling a little low, you're feeling a little demotivated, do drop a comment below. And I've also started a YouTube channel called DT Hindi, where I'm doing some education on some topics around student mindsets. And no, I don't charge anything for this. I do this just because I enjoy seeing youngsters grow. For me, youngsters are precious. I'm happy to help you. And there are also DeepThought WhatsApp groups through the WhatsApp groups, you can get access our learning things, which again we do without charging any amount, just because we'd like to see youngsters grow. But take up a startup opportunity only if you have that mental willpower to take it on, to transform yourself and to truly improve the way you are today. If your job is to get, if your objective is to get job safety, none of these opportunities are for you. If your objective is to get job safety, none of these opportunities are for you. But if you want to build the nation, if you want to build the nation's economy, you want to build some cool ideas, you want to explore like Baba Ranchod Das, we are badly looking for you. There's a long selection process because we want to know whether you're really one of these or not. You have a long selection process because we want to know whether you're really in for that passion or not. But if you go through that long selection process and you demonstrate that passion, we are here to support you. We are here to make sure you will win. I hope my video made sense to you. And if you think this makes sense, please share this video with any student who's currently suffering, who's demotivated, who's having, this external validation oriented problem. Do share it with one such youngster. I hope this will help such a youngster. Thanks a lot for listening to me very patiently.